Good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 11th of June. I'm Erin Viner, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. The CEO of the French telecom giant Orange arrived in Israel a short time ago following the controversy over comments that he made calling for his company to shut down its operations in Israel. Stefan Richard plans to meet with Israeli officials and Orange staff in an effort to clarify what he is calling a misunderstanding, sparked by his remarks during a press conference in Cairo on June 3rd that appeared to imply the company's intent to boycott the Jewish state. Israel reacted furiously, accusing Richard of bowing to the Palestinian-led campaign. He insists that there was no political motivation and that the decision was solely driven by Orange's brand strategy. By the weekend, Richard expressed regret for the Führer, and shortly thereafter, Israel extended an invitation for him to visit. There are reports that 50 Druze residents of the Kalp Loz village in Syria's Idlib province were massacred today by al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front Sunni insurgents who have seized wide areas from the Assad government's control over the last 3 months. Today's report follows President Reuven Rivlin's expression of concern over the fate of Syria's Druze community. During a meeting yesterday with the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Rivlin warned General Martin Dempsey that the estimated 500,000 Druze are living under the imminent threat of attack by the Islamic State and other al-Qaeda-linked terror groups.
What is going on just now with the intimidation and threat to the very existence of almost 500,000 of Druze in the Mount of Druze, which is very close to the Israeli border. They have their cousins, their brothers in Israel. They have their brothers on the Golan Heights, which is now part of Israel. Israel can protect itself. The Druze people, unfortunately, are in a real threat to their very, very existence. And that shows what is the need to be secure, to be able to defend yourself. And no one like you knows it better.
I think you've laid out pretty effectively the reasons that I'm here, which is to say to gain a better understanding with our counterparts in the Israeli Defense Forces of the threats, the security challenges, and what we can do to work together to address them.
Kurdish forces are engaged in a fierce battle against the Islamic State for the Syrian border town of Tel Abyad that sparked the flight of more than 2,000 people into Turkey just over the last 24 hours. Many of the refugees are Syrian women and children who poured over the makeshift border crossing monitored by Turkish authorities. Since last week, nearly 7,000 people have sought refuge in Turkey, including about 700 Iraqi nationals. The northeastern corner of Syria is considered critical because it links areas controlled by ISIS in Syria and Iraq. The Syrian Kurds are trying to expand their territorial control over a region stretching from Kobani to Qamishli that they hope will someday become part of a future Kurdish state. And in related news, an American volunteer fighting with the Kurds lost his life in a battle with ISIS. 36-year-old Keith Broomfield was killed in Kobani a week ago. Dozens of Westerners, including American veterans of the Iraq War, are believed to be fighting on behalf of the Kurds. Here's now a portion of an interview taped with Broomfield before his death.
I'm here to do what I can, to help Kurdistan with everything that's been going on. It seems like the right thing to do. Kobani, they put up a hell of a fight there, but a bit of a mess right now. Definitely they could use a lot of rebuilding and help there. I just want to help the cause any way I can.
News of Broomfield's death came as U.S. President Barack Obama ordered the deployment of 450 additional American troops to Iraq to set up a new training base about 25 kilometers from the Ramadi combat zone in the Anbar province. The Iraqi Defense Minister Khalid al-Obeid met with the chief of the United States Central Command, Lloyd Austin, in Baghdad yesterday to discuss the readiness of the armed forces and plans to retake territory seized by ISIS. The newly deployed forces joined 3,100 other advisors and trainers in the U.S. contingent in the hope that a strengthened U.S. presence on the ground in Anbar can help the Iraqi military devise and carry out counterattacks against Islamic State. President Obama remains steadfast in his refusal to send American troops into combat, despite critics who argue that the limited U.S. military role in the conflict is not enough to turn the tide of the battle. Officials in Jerusalem are denying any links to allegations published in the Wall Street Journal that Israeli espionage agents used a computer virus to spy on the world power's nuclear negotiations with Iran at 3 European hotels. We get more in this report from IBA's Aryeh O'Sullivan.
Israel wasn't present in the negotiation rooms with the Iranians, but its high-tech hackers may have been. The Russian Kaspersky security company says Israel's footprints were following everything inside the closed doors. A virus inserted in the hotel in Geneva, where the talks were held, was able to eavesdrop on telephone calls and see everything that was picked up by the security cameras.
It's a kind of mix of Alien, Terminator, and Predator in terms of Hollywood.
The purpose of this campaign was to steal sensitive information from the victim. So they're basically looking for intellectual property and other material of a sensitive proprietary nature, and they're looking to steal that from the target organizations.
Some 2 months ago, the Wall Street Journal reported that Israel was spying on the talks. Jerusalem denied it then. Today, Deputy Foreign Minister Tzipi Hotovely dismissed it as baseless, adding that the true focus should be on preventing a bad agreement with Iran. The security company does not specifically single out Israel. It only says that the virus is very similar to the Stuxnet virus, which harmed the Iranian nuclear computers and reportedly was the work of a state, not an organization. International media are pointing the blame on Israel.
The hours that the program was written were during times in Tel Aviv, work stopped on Saturday and resumed on Sunday. Certain aspects of the code were linked back to the Israelis. The original title of this report was Duku Bet. The revelation here about Duku 2.0 in this case being in these hotels may, and I repeat may, indicate a very specific type of method that the Israelis are using in order to get their information. It's one additional piece of a puzzle.
The virus, known as Duku 2, was discovered by chance when Kaspersky detected it on their own computers.
How did we find it? Come on, it's stupid to attack cybersecurity company. Sooner or later we will find it anyway.
At these days, the teams from Iran and the 6 major powers are in the final stretch to seek an agreement by the June 30th deadline. Sitting in a hotel in Vienna, all sides are now aware that someone in the Jewish state may be listening. Aryeh O'Sullivan for IBA News.
Our reporter adds that this afternoon, both Switzerland and Austria have announced the opening of investigations into possible espionage at the nuclear talks hosted by both countries. In other news, the Palestinian Authority plans to review its political, economic, and security arrangements with Israel. That's the word from PA President Mahmoud Abbas, who spoke at a news conference in Belgrade following talks with Serbian President Tomislav Nikolic. Abbas accused Israel of violating agreements and carrying out settlement activity designed to Judaize Jerusalem by obscuring the city's Islamic and Christian features. Abbas reiterated his refusal to pursue temporary solutions, borders, or a revival of the peace process unless the talks are accompanied by a set deadline for a final agreement with a roadmap to pave the way for the creation of a Palestinian state. And as preconditions for that to happen, Abbas continues to demand that the negotiations last no more than a year, along with the release of Palestinian security prisoners and an end to all settlement construction in Judea and Samaria. In other regional news, Egypt is holding joint naval drills with Russia in the Mediterranean Sea, codenamed the Bridge of Friendship exercise. Russia's Moskva guided missile cruiser and the Samum, or Sandstorm, hydro skimmer were shipped to Egypt's largest port in Alexandria for use in the drills, alongside a large Russian tanker and the MB-31 Sea Tug. Egyptian crews will man 2 frigates, a pair of guided missile cruisers, and a tanker during what officials say is training aimed at honing naval and air defense capabilities, rescue operations, and cargo transfer by helicopter. Freshman Likud member of Knesset Oren Chazan remains defiant, swearing his innocence and threatening to sue over allegations that he provided heavy drugs and prostitutes to clients while renting a hotel in Bulgaria before entering politics. IBA's Ali Wogelenter has more on the story.
Oren Chazan, the Likud Knesset member, at the heart of a political scandal following a Channel 2 television expose alleging that he regularly used drugs and solicited prostitutes before becoming a lawmaker. again claimed his innocence last night, but he withdrew a promise to agree to a lie detector test, even if it would dispel the accusations against him. At a gathering of Likud Central Committee members at the Tel Aviv fairground, most delegates kept their distance, murmuring about a disgrace to the party. But a core group rushed to hug and kiss Chazan and offer their support. Many held signs with messages which read, "Be strong, don't let them break your spirit. This is persecution, and we believe you and trust you with our eyes closed, enough media incitement." Chazan accused the media of subjecting him to a deliberate character assassination, pointing out that none of his accusers was required to take a polygraph test. On Monday, a Channel 2 report alleged that Chazan had used crystal meth and obtained prostitutes for clients while managing a casino in Bulgaria, according to testimonies by acquaintances and casino staff. The report also presented a number of documents, emails, and social media posts and photographs supporting the claims and tying Chazan to the casino's management. Chazan has long maintained that he never managed the Bulgarian casino, but a hotel where there was also a casino, and that it was managed by a person he had no contact with. According to Channel 2, however, the casino in question is not inside a hotel. Chazan said he would take legal action against Channel 2 reporter Amit Siegel for the report. Amit Siegel, get ready. You and I are going to meet in court, he wrote on his Facebook page. The lies you spread will soon be dispelled. Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein said he was forced to suspend Chazan as deputy speaker. I hope that he will clear himself of all suspicions, and I will be happy to apologize to him, Edelstein wrote on his Facebook page. But in the current public atmosphere, ethically, even if not criminally, there is no way he can run the Knesset. Eli Wogelanter, IBA News.
Finance Minister Moshe Kachlon has revealed the first phase of his wide-ranging plan to bring down soaring real estate prices. He highlighted several of the key elements at a press conference last night, including the streamlining of construction permits, increased taxation on those who purchase homes for investment, the building of additional rental apartments, increasing the number of apartments for sale, and the provision of major discounts on land to contractors who build homes for the middle class. The finance minister says that he has the support of the government, which he believes is finally assuming responsibility and presenting balanced reforms that will eventually increase the supply of available homes while significantly lowering prices. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu voiced backing for Kachlon and confidence that the plan will succeed while repeating his own commitment to reducing cost of living expenses. U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is admittedly Jewish and the son of a Polish immigrant father, but was offended when a talk show host, Diane Rem of the nationally syndicated NPR radio, asserted that he therefore also holds Israeli citizenship.
Senator, you have dual citizenship with Israel.
Well, no, I do not have dual citizenship with Israel. I'm an American. I don't know where that question came from. I am an American citizen, and I have visited Israel on a couple of occasions. No, I'm an American citizen, period.
I understand from a list we have gotten that you were on that list. No. Forgive me if that is...
that's some of the nonsense that goes on in the Internet, but that is absolutely not true.
Are there members of Congress who do have dual citizenship, or is that part of the fable?
I honestly don't know, but I have read that on the Internet. You know, my dad came to this country from Poland at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket, loved this country. I am, you know, I get offended a little bit by that comment, and I know it's been on the Internet. I am obviously an American citizen, and I do not have any dual citizenship.
All right.
Outstanding young innovators from all over Europe recently converged on Budapest to take part in the annual Lidl Fly Conference. IBA's Dennis Sin also attended the dynamic event in the Hungarian capital and brings us this report.
Young entrepreneurs from all over Europe gathered in the Hungarian capital Budapest to meet their counterparts from Israel, the home of the startup nation.
We're looking at I Can Touch, which is a play platform that allows children with disabilities to move and play and interact with physical toys. We have robotic spiders, we have a xylophone, we have a robotic ball, and essentially they can play with all these toys similar to any other child, but even better, they play only with their eyes, without the need to move any other body part.
Everywhere in the world there is a massive problem, the so-called nosocomial infections, the hospital-acquired infections. During your stay in the hospital, there is a high chance to get infection by hand of the staff. So this is the reason why we developed this system to control the quality of the hand washing and hand cleaning.
It was the Lidl Fly Conference which connects Israeli and European innovators to investors, to accomplished veterans, and to one another.
Our interest is to meet investors, to meet people that want to do similar business here. For example, in Hungary, just copy-paste our model, our social business model, to Europe.
And how we can make these contacts.
Amongst the industry experts on hand was Israeli crowdfunding guru Dan Marom
Assets, etc.
and Hungarian startup maven Peter Zerboji.
I think the motto of today as well. Startups that receive an investment from us show us
US-based investment banker Daniel Frankenstein came to share his knowledge and to check out possible business opportunities.
So at conferences like this, immediately, even a small company that has 2 or 3 employees, 1 patent, and a product that's simply a beta test, they're already global. They're already here. They're already networking with other entrepreneurs. They're networking with potential integrators, and they're being introduced to investors who can help them increase that global footprint.
Almost half the participants were from Israel, with the second largest group from the host country.
What was interesting, while we're having this startup input from Hungarians, many of them, being Hungarian citizens, turned out to be Jews, and that's actually what makes me so happy also, because just I see that Jews are active. That's the main thing, and if they don't provide Jewish opportunities to be active, they just go to any other place. So just to create this favorable place for Jews to succeed professionally would be for Lidl a great mission.
Israeli ambassador to Hungary, Ilan Moore, was quick to point out that the first Israeli startup entrepreneur was in fact a Hungarian Jew.
As a role model, Herzl is a classic entrepreneur. He had an idea, a good one, but he was not satisfied only by the idea. He worked tirelessly in order to implement it. Unfortunately, he died too young in order to see with his own eyes how the startup functions. But we know that it functions well.
Hello, good evening. My name is Leo Wayne. I'm the CEO of Emerald Medical Applications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I will introduce you to App Talk Ninja.
The conference wound up with a pitch contest where young startup wannabes vied before the judges for funding.
These are RFID stickers.
Perhaps here in this hall was the birth of the industry's next big exit. Dennis Zinn, IBA News.
In local finance, the shekel today put in a mixed performance in foreign currency trading, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were up across the board. Here's a look at the afternoon numbers. The IBA weather team says we can expect very pleasant conditions throughout the weekend with no significant changes in temperatures. Here's the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow, same time, same channel, when I'll be back with the latest breaking news from Israel. We now leave you with more of the Sound of Silence from Art Garfunkel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a great evening and shalom from Jerusalem.
In restless dreams I've often come down the streets of cobblestone, beneath the halo of the street lamp. I turn my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without